Okay, so what we're going to look at now before we go into actually learning our strokes is cover some of our tools. And when we're talking about tools with microblading, we're talking about our blades and our handles, okay? So you are going to have in your kits a variety of these tools. In fact, they will be just like what I'm showing you. And you are going to have the option of individual blades, and you're going to have the option of disposable handles and blades, okay? Now, all of your blades are disposed of. They're never reused. However, you will have handles like this that, depending on your state, can be wrapped with the protective wrap, and then just the blade itself needs to be displayed or disposed of, and then the wrap can come off. You can wipe it clean and wrap it again. Okay, so showing it up close.
Yeah.
All right. So that one you can see you have one that's a little bigger, and then you also are going to have one that is a little thinner. Your thinner one is a shading tool, and this is going to be designed to hold needles that are in smaller configurations. And so instead of being designed to cut into the skin and make a hair stroke, this is going to be designed to push into little pixels in the skin. All right, so these are the type of handles. Just know that your larger one is multi-purpose. This is going to handle any type of blade that you could possibly want to put into it. Before we go into the actual blades and needles that go into that, I do want to show you an example of a disposable tool. And these are wonderful because when you finish with them, the handle and the blade goes into your sharps container. There's no wrapping, no wiping. It's very easy. And they come in a wide variety of blades. As well, you're going to notice a little felt on the end here. This is like microfiber, and that microfiber is for rubbing the pigment in to when you're masking, rubbing the pigment into your work. And it's wonderful because that microfiber can really get in there. So there is an advantage to having that on your tool. And I'll pass this around. Now this one is an 18U blade. So when you see on the back U18, what we're seeing there is it is a U shape, okay? It's a U shape, and there are 18 little needles there, okay? So U18, it's a U shape, and you have 18 pins in there, all right? Now, U-shape is great because you have both sides as well as the top to use, so you can hold it straight up. You also can go this way or this way with it, and you have sharpness for the left brow and the right brow. And a lot of your artists work with U-blades because you can get beautiful curved strokes. I myself like a U-blade for the most part. I know Kay uses U-blade quite a bit as well. You also can get disposable blades with slanted. So you'll see that it looks more like that. And it's like that. And then you also can get the blades where, and I'll show you in your tool, it's on an angle. Okay, and the U blade can be on an angle as well as the slant can be on an angle. And you can have everything from a 14, you can have a 12, there are 9s, and that's the number of pins, okay? So you're going to want to experiment and work with all of these different types of blades. So I'm going to take one of them.
I passed it around already.
Okay, can I just take one? We'll give you another one here. I just want to show the how you can use it. Let's do this one because I know we have a lot of these. When you open the blade, you're just going to take not the sharp side of it, but the bottom side of it, and pop it through the paper. And then you can fold that over, and you'll have gloves on, of course, at this point. And then that can be put into your handle. And just push that in, and then tighten it up. Okay, so you can have that straight on. So it's like it's your U-blade and it's straight on. That is called the eccentric way of using it. Okay, in case you see blades that say eccentric, it means that they are set straight on in the holder. And that's true of disposable as well as where you just have the blades. You also can find them, both the slanted and the U, set at an angle like this. Can you see that okay? And some of them are set at quite an angle. That's a very minor angle. Some of them are very much angled. And if you have a needle that is angled, if you have a blade, I should say, that is the angled blade, and then it's also angled, you've got quite a bit of angle there.
So
Now,
on the blade itself, will there be a?
There
This
will
doesn't indicate how many.
it'll usually tell you, although sometimes on your shading ones, you just kind of have to look at the pin and see if there's 3 there or if it's a single.
So the angle and the ones that.
And then
Does it say any?
and we'll look at your things in just a bit. This is just more for the educational side of it. You are also going to have shading tools, or shading needles, we call them, for manual shading. And just know that you'll have some that are set in a round configuration. I don't know if you can catch that up close. Meaning that whether it's 1, 3, 5, they're round. It's in a round configuration. Okay? You will have some that are straight. So the pins are just set straight in a line. Okay? And they're all for different types of shading. You will even have bundles of needles that are angled for certain types of shading. And of course, we will cover shading on day 4 of your program. But you're going to want to have a nice variety of blades and needles to work with. Get that one too, that's a short one there. I think you've got the single one. Oh, wonderful, thank you. Because you're going to tend to find that you like working with a particular type of blade, but also that certain blades are good for certain things. You might find that you really like working with the angled blade on the front, but then for filling you like a U-blade, or you might use the U-blade through the whole thing. I myself, when I'm finding challenges in filling, I'll switch from my U-blade to a teeny tiny little angled blade that I can really get in those strokes. So there is always that possibility of using more than one style of blade during a procedure, and definitely always good to have a shading tool ready to go, because a good portion of the time with your microblading clients, you're going to want to do a little bit of shading, especially in the beginning, but also just to give that 6-dimensional look versus just the 3-dimensional that you get with the microblading. All right. So again, you have a nice selection of blades and tools to start with, but just know that there are many, many styles out there, and work with both your U-blade as well as your slant or angled blade. And then also with the angled, one thing I didn't mention, but I do want to point out because it is kind of interesting. You will have some that are literally like this with the pins, and then you'll have some that kind of curve up with the pins, and they're still on that angle. So they have a very they're almost tiny pinned in the front and get very long and come back. There also is that style. And they all make different, they're all designed to work on different skin. One thing that you will find out, and I found it out, thankfully Kay was there to help me with that, was that on someone with coarser hair, thicker hair, you want to use a coarser blade, a thicker blade. I shouldn't say coarse, it's not the roughness of it, it's the thickness of the blade to make that bigger hair stroke. You can't do a tiny, fine little 18U on somebody who has very thick, dense hair. Okay, it's just not going to look right. So those are the differences in the blades and the tools. You're going to want to have both disposable handles as well as handles that you can wrap and use your individual blades for. Okay, so any questions on that before we move on? It's a lot of fun, let me tell you. It is just a lot of fun to try the different styles and see what you work best with. And everybody seems to have their own personal preference. So I wish I could tell you which one you're going to absolutely love and is going to give you the best result, but that's very individual.
So is the U blade kind of the most universal one to use, or not really?
What would you say, Kay, on U-blade? I mean, I'm a U-blade fan, so I'm probably biased toward it. I would say that with U-blade, you can get the most artistic strokes versus the angled blade, which gives a straighter stroke. That's probably the biggest difference. And hair doesn't naturally curve. Hair is straight. But sometimes we're doing more of a design for somebody, and then it's nice to have that U. I do like having both sides to work with, as well as the tip. That's an advantage versus the just one side of sharpness.
Yeah.
All right, we owe you a white U blade. Okay. And let's forget to give that to you. It's one of these.
Yeah, I didn't have one with the felt on either.
It's a little longer. Yeah, a little longer.
Got two just like
That's
that.
what I got too.
I didn't get a felt on.
All right. Okay. So I will get out of the way. Is the video on, or should I start?
No, it's on.
It's on.
So
Okay.
I just continue this. So,
Okay. Wonderful.
So just to answer your questions, U18 tend to be more like of a standard average, good for everyone. Except for some very extreme case, like F6, F7, because those people are very coarse, very, very coarse hair that U18 cannot cut it. But this is a standard blade, so that was a blade I was using yesterday, so it should work for almost everyone. Talking about the thickness, so 18 millimeter is the standard thickness for the U18 as well. Besides this, we have many other different sizes, including 16, 25, and then also there are many different pins. Besides the 18 pins, we do have 4, 6, 8, 12, 10, 18. Just count all the combination of this and this and this and this and this and this. There's many of them out there, and many of the manufacturers out there. So, but just to answer your question, U18 would be the standard one with the standard thickness for type F1 to F6. But some for extreme case, then you have to go up to 25 millimeter. So, if you use 16 millimeter thick, which means that your blading or the diameter of the pin are smaller, which means you're gonna cut smaller stroke, which means that you have to fill more strokes throughout the eyebrows. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with 0.25 and nothing wrong with 0.16 or 0.18. I've used these all. Some people only use 0.25 because they make enough of the thickness of the stripe of the strokes, then they fill it once. Because the wound is open bigger, you can push more pigment in and it heals. And it's good.
So the 25 would be somebody, like, if they have coarse hair,
Corsair.
you're gonna wanna use the 25.
Mhm.
So I have a friend who has really coarse eyebrow, everything is just coarse.
And fixed.
And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that would be
Yeah, think like
the
your
one for her.
F5s, F6s, some of your F3s, or
Okay.
F4s, I should say. Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes I don't always store 0.25 because it's not very typical for me to use 0.25. So I can still use 0.18 and then fill it a couple, 2-3 times, and cut blade a little deeper, blade a little bit more aggressive compared to 0.25. But nothing wrong with any of these. Some people are using, like, I believe there's a 0.14 millimeter as well, and then also less pins. Those are the blades for you to fill. If you cannot hit the second pass, if you go through the second pass again, you cannot hit the exact stroke. You can use smaller blade in order to open the first pass again. So these are all the options. Or you can just stick with one tool, U18 or the angle blade, straight blade. That's fine. So, but these are just the definition for you to know what's out there in the market.
I think I might just start with the U2.
Right.
Make
Get
it
used to
easier
the
to
tool.
learn.
Get used to
Learn
the
it
tool.
right away.
So
You'll never
right now
forget
this
it.
thing, because this thing I didn't have that in the slide, so I'm gonna put that in the slide. So